Three, two, one. Bitcoin halving. Welcome to my mind, PoorCryptoSteve.
What's up, guys? We got a clock. See this big old clock? You're like, what is that? We're going to talk about the Bitcoin halving. What is the Bitcoin halving and why does it matter? And what's up with this clock? Okay, first of all, Bitcoin halving estimate. This is an estimated clock. 339 days, 12 hours, all that good stuff. The halving is when the miner rewards get reduced. Okay, they get cut in half every 210,000 blocks, right? The next one is at block 840,000, and it's coming up. So right here, 840, we're waiting. This is the blocks that we're at. Got like a little clock. We're about 50-some thousand away. So here we have estimated halving is 7 April 2024. And why is this important? So first of all, what is the Bitcoin halving? When Bitcoin first started, 50 Bitcoin were given out to each block as a block reward when the miners solved the block, right? So do we have to discuss what a block is? A block is like a ledger. It's all rolled up in all the transactions. They're all rolled up. And then it's run like a SHA-256. There's very specific rules that it has to start with so many zeros at the beginning. I think now it's 6. So say they run a SHA-256 on it, and bam, the ledger comes, and the hexadecimal is not starting with a 0. They add a 1 to it, rerun it, start with 0. Nope, they add a 2, rerun it. They keep doing this by just adding 1, number 2, number 2, and so on and so on. It gets very huge. At the beginning, very simple to get a couple zeros. Now that you need 6, it takes a lot of math, and that's why all these computers, these Bitcoin miners, dedicated ASIC machines, they're just running calculations, and then finally one of them says, hey, I got it. It's this number. All the other machines do it, and they go, you're correct. It is that number. We have a 51% consensus. This block is done. Boom, that hexadecimal goes on top of the next ledger, and all the new transactions start. That's why it's called a blockchain. It's a bunch of blocks, and they're chained together by the hexadecimal at the top of the ledger to verify that they've always happened. So every single transaction that's ever happened on Bitcoin can still be seen. So when people go, oh, criminals use Bitcoin, only idiot criminals would use Bitcoin because you can prove every single transaction, guys. I'm so sick of hearing this crap about criminals. When you hear, these criminals did the stuff, they paid them in Bitcoin and they got it back, that's what you want to do. You want to use Bitcoin because you can just wait until they get on an exchange and you can trace them down. It's called immutable. You cannot lie on the blockchain. Now, they may not know who that criminal is until they go to get the money. So you can have millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin. It's worthless. You can't use it because as soon as you try to turn it into fiat currency, that's when they get you. They know where that Bitcoin came from. So anyway, let's get back on topic because squirrel. I just ramble on when I get excited about stuff I know. All right, so right now we are at 6.25 BTC per block. That's roughly every 10 minutes. It's been estimated that it's like 9.3 minutes that those rewards are being paid out. It sounds like a lot, but there's a total of 21 million Bitcoin that will be made. So what are we going to do when we run out? Well, it's going to be a long time, okay? What's the significance of the halving? It decreases the amount of Bitcoins generated per block, right? So a lot of people go, oh my God, so it cuts in half, then that means Bitcoin's going to double. Not exactly. If there's only 10 cool cars on the road and you caught 5 of them on fire, would the value of those cars double? They might even triple, right? But what you have to realize is there's 19 million Bitcoin out there, and just because we're cutting the supply in half, it does mean there's less of a chance to get more. So the ones coming out, they are more valuable. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to double. That would be insane if it doubled every 4 years, right? The first few years, it more than doubled. But now we're starting to see diminishing returns. But it does show scarcity. And then people realize it's more scarce, less are being produced. So if you have the same demand for new Bitcoin because a lot of people holding aren't selling, that new demand has to be willing to pay more. And when they're willing to pay more at a certain point, people that were holding are like, I'm going to start selling mine, right? So it all evens itself out, and it does go up a little bit. But this right here, and kind of shows as it goes, there's a halving, and then it kind of rallies up, and then it goes down into a bear market, and there's another halving, and it goes up, and then it gets down in a bear market. Now, this is a logarithmic scale, so it looks weird. I mean, this starts out at $1.90 and it goes all the way up to $70,000 right here, but it's not even. I mean, literally, you're at $110 right here. And by the time we move up to here, you're at $6,500, and then right here it's $50,000. Okay, so this is a logarithmic scale. It's just so you can ignore exactly how much it's moving, and we can look at that later, right? But let's just say this is the current cycle we're in. We're not. We're actually in a cycle way over here. This is old, but they all kind of look the same. You get this little rally, it kind of dips down, and then you really get the bull run, and then it goes down, and so on and so on. So if this was us, we're kind of like right here. We don't. No one always knows, and right now it seems like the bear market's over. The halving is less than a year. That's normally when the bear market ends. There's a lot of different indicators. But everyone says my videos are too long, so I'm trying to keep them short, right? So we're just going to explain the halving and why it's important, right? Yeah, so we will go past that. The halving schedule. There we go. Every 210,000 blocks. The 2024 halving will happen on block 840,000. What do miners do? Everyone thinks the miners are going to shut off their machines because they get paid less. No, the miners are kind of smart. They only sell when Bitcoin's up, and they use that money to operate for years while they mine. And when Bitcoin's down, they use their money from when they sold, and they wait until there's a high, a bull market. The smart miners, okay, not every miner does this, but you wait till a high, and then you sell just enough to operate for the next 4 years, right? And if you're smart about it, you'll always sell very close to the top. No one's gonna hit the exact top. No one's gonna buy at the exact bottom, and no one's gonna sell at the exact top. That's not a thing. Dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out, and it's kind of what miners do. During the good times, they sell a little bit at a time to do their operating costs, and it floats them along for a few years while they're mining. And I'm not saying losing money, but if they sold it as they made it, they would barely be making money. So 2024 Bitcoin halving, people say February 2024 through June 2024. Lately, as we get closer, they can narrow it down even more. A lot of people are saying March to April now is what it's really looking like. So let's talk about this, the halving. All right, 2012 halving. How did that affect the price? So when we went from 50 BCT per block to 25, we went from $12.35 to 150 days later, $127. It cut in half, but it 10x'd, okay? So Bitcoin became 10 times more valuable. That gets you exciting, but then, hey, the 2016 halving, BTC, the reward was 25, is going to drop down to 12.5, and Bitcoin on halving day was $650, and 150 days later, it was only $758. Now, yeah, it went up, but what did it go up by? I don't know, 13, 14%, something like that, maybe 12, quick math. In 2020, the halving happened, and BTC we went from 12.5 down to 6.25, which is where we're at now. And it was 8,821, and it went up to 10,493, which, quick math, that's probably closer to 15 to 18%, right? So it kind of varies on what it's going to do, and this 150 days isn't exactly the bull run. This is just a time they took. So the bull run, I know, can be a lot different because the last bull run in 2021, roughly sometime in mid to late November, it was 69,000. Okay, so if you had yourself some of this $8,000 halving day Bitcoin, and then it's 69,000. that's a huge difference, right? That's a good 6, 7, 7.5, maybe 8x. And right now, so next year, next February, so this is why it's important to me. Next February, we're looking at the halving, okay? So if you buy Bitcoin on the day of the halving, when the bull run comes around, no one's ever lost money doing that, okay? Not financial advice. Remember, I am not your financial advisor. So, but what if you buy it now? Right now, Bitcoin's 28,000 this morning, I believe. You know what? Let's just check. BTC 2906. Yeah. So, what is going on with my chart? All right, there we go. Yeah, 2952, 2958, 2960. So there's your BTC right there. All right. So let's go back. And what will it be? I don't know, but I want some, right? Yeah. So how much total Bitcoin is there? There's going to be 21 million Bitcoin. That's it. There will be no more. And you're like, man, we're already at 19. We got to almost be done. No, because it keeps having and having and having and having. It will be 2140 by the time we're done. But right now, we're at 98% of the BTC mined. So Bitcoin clock, yeah, someone took this over. How many Bitcoin are there? Here we go. Here's the total. We're looking at this many mined. It's 19,363,406. But of course, that's right now as we're shooting this video. And in 10 minutes, it'll be different, right? So we still got 1,636,593 to go. Every day, 900 more Bitcoin are pulling into the network, right? We're at 92% of the Bitcoin, and they talk about total circulation and all that good stuff. Now, total circulation is probably closer to 17 million, maybe 18 million, because there's so many wallets that have been lost. So I just wanted to explain the halving to everybody and kind of give them a quick, hey, this is the halving, this is what it's about, this is why Bitcoin is the standard, this is why Bitcoin is king. There's only ever going to be 21 million. And you go, what? Well, that's not enough for a Bitcoin per person. Well, Bitcoin is actually divided into Satoshis, and I always mess up the numbers, so let's see. There is 100 million Satoshis in a Bitcoin. So, you can think of a Bitcoin like a gig. It's a $1, right? And so there's $100 million, something like that. So, yeah, if it got to be a world currency, you would buy stuff in Satoshis, not in actual Bitcoin. So, all right, hey, I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, hit like, man. If you dislike it, hit dislike. Leave a comment. Tell me what you don't like about it. Hey, if you want information like this, subscribe if you want to. Don't if you don't. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks.
And while we're talking about Bitcoin, if you want $10 in free Bitcoin, check out my referral link in the description. $10 in free Bitcoin for you, $10 in free Bitcoin for me once you've invested your first $100 into Coinbase. And if not, thanks anyway. I still appreciate you watching.